Hello there, people of the internet. How's everybody doing today? I'm doing alright, thanks for asking. I've made a couple of videos talking about what makes certain cartridges the best for certain situations. And every time I make a video talking about why a certain cartridge is probably going to be the best bet for a particular situation, I get people that go down into the comments and they'll tell me that's not the best, this is the best for all situations, or that's not the best cartridge because I like this cartridge better, so even though that cartridge does things better than this one for certain situations, I would still pick this over that because of emotional reasons. And whenever I get people that go into the comments and they start preaching about things being better than other things entirely based off of emotional reasons or entirely based off of their needs and their necessities, I kind of it leads me to what am I trying to say here? It leads me to think about how most people don't think about the general sense of something being better simply because of their experience with their situations or their own personal bias towards certain cartridges. Like, for example, if I am talking about the best universal do-all, do-everything cartridge here inside of the United States, what is it that you think of? Because odds are my argument's going to be different than yours, and we're probably going to come up with two different calibers, two different situations. So, for example, before I even tell you guys what my ideology is, go in the comments and tell me the best universal cartridge that most people should be able to utilize here inside of the United States. Now, of course, if you're in other parts of the world, your answers might vary in comparison to ours. But we're talking about universal cartridge, like if you had one to rule them all, just a cartridge that could handle most situations, be it recreational, hunting, various ranges, amount of power downrange, recoil control, etc., etc. Just a good universal cartridge to handle most situations that most people would be taking part in. So what is you guys' thought before I give mine? I'll give you a second to go comment down below. Okay, your second is up. My opinion, well, here, let me say what a lot of people would say, because I guarantee I'm going to see some of this down in the comments. I would see a lot of people saying 223, 556 for handling most things here inside the United States as a good universal do-everything cartridge. And whereas, yes, this is a very capable cartridge, it's light recoiling, it's available, it's good for defense. You could use it for hunting a good variety of different things, especially if you bump it up to heavier weight projectiles. And it is effective out to like 500 yards, though I have seen it pushed out to 700 plus yards. Most people are not going to be using the 223-556 at 700 yards. Most people would be shooting within 100 yards, most people within 50 yards, and most people would... Before I go into too much detail on what most people would do with the 223-556, let me give another example of what most people would say this is the good, best, universal, do-everything cartridge. I see a lot of this in the comments. I see many people tell me it'd be something like the 30-06. Good power, good range, good distance, out of a platform that is a semi-automatic like this M1 Grand right here. You could send a lot of hate downrange with this very quickly, very capably. You could use it for defense, you could use it for hunting. You can get anywhere from like 100 grain projectiles all the way out to like 220 plus grain projectiles, not necessarily through the M1 Grand, but you could get yourself a good variety of different kinds of ammo as a good universal option. Well, it might be a good universal option for you and your situation and your needs and what it is that you're doing, but most people aren't going to be looking for 100 grain 30-06. Most people are just going to go, if they're going to go with 30-06, they're going to go with like the standard 150 or 180 or 220 grain soft point or full metal jacket projectiles, depending on what it is that they're doing. And most people aren't going to be sending 30-06 out to 1,000 yards, which is, one of the places where having a full power rifle really shines. and at farther distances. Most people aren't going to be shooting at those farther distances. Like I said, they're going to be like within 100 yards or within 50 yards or something like that. And 30-06 is expensive. It's cost prohibitive. It is definitely easy to find, but if you want to get yourself good quality, accurate ammunition, then it can be quite pricey. That being said, most people do not need good quality, accurate ammunition because it's just going to be shooting offhand at 40 yards into a pile of garbage like what I do here on the YouTube channel. So as far as a universal cartridge for most people, my argument is for the 7.62x39. I've already made videos talking about this, about how this right here is hands down the best cartridge here inside the United States for most people to handle most practical applications. And still I have people go in the comments and they'll tell me, no, it's not 7.62x39. The 30-06 is just so much more universal because you can send it out to 1,000 yards and it travels so much faster, and you can use different kinds of heavier weight bullets, and 223 5.56 is, lighter weight, and that's something that I will give it. It is lighter weight and lighter recoiling, and it's capable out at further distances than 7.62x39, and it's more accurate than 7.62x39. And I'm just, whenever it comes to these arguments by these people talking about how other cartridges are better, I'm not talking about what other cartridges can do better. My argument here is that 7.62x39 is a good universal cartridge to be able to handle the situations that most people here inside the United States would need to handle. Like, for example, out of some sort of automatic or semi-automatic system like an SKS, you can send these downrange pretty gosh darn quickly. 7.62x39 is going to typically be around a 123-ish grain bullet, traveling at about 2,350 or so feet per second. That's going to vary based on barrel length and based on the manufacturer and based on a bunch of different things. But most people, that would absolutely 110% be adequate enough to handle whatever situations it is that they're coming across. Not only is 7.62x39 extremely readily available and extremely cheap, but it's also very effective out to about 400 yards, which is beyond the realm of what most people would be shooting. And most people don't need some sort of precision accurate rifle, like, for example, 30-06 out of an M1 Grand. That's a tack driver at 100 yards. You can get 2-inch groups with good ammo, or even I have seen these push better than 2-inch groups at 100 yards with decent quality ammo from a 30-06. Good luck with a Milsurp SKS with steel case ammo getting 2-inch groups at 100 yards out of an SKS. But most people can't do that anyway because most people don't need to do that. Like I said, the situation for most people is they're going to be shooting at whatever it is that their target is, and getting a pie-sized group, a pie pan-sized group at 50 yards is adequate enough to handle the jobs that they need to handle. Most people aren't going to be doing precision shooting at beyond 100 yards. Most people aren't going to be doing anything beyond the capabilities of 7.62x39. So it's cheap, it's available. The recoil is a little bit harsher, but between having muzzle compensators and rubber butt pads and things like that, you can actually diminish recoil on your 7.62x39 rifles, even beyond that of 5.56. I would know. I've got an AK that has some special features on it that mitigates recoil of 7.62x39 to be better than the recoil from my lightest weight AR, which is pretty impressive if I do say so myself, considering I'm sending double the bullet downrange. So the 7.62x39 is going to be significantly more powerful than 5.56. So that means that, I have shown off the 7.62x39 as a hunting cartridge, and you can go after some pretty sizable game with 7.62x39 out to some reasonable distances, especially considering that most hunters aren't really going to be hunting game beyond 200 yards, maybe 300 yards. That's one of the things that made the 30-30 so effective at taking game, because although it wasn't the most powerful cartridge during the time period, it did everything that it needed to do for the average person, and it did it extremely well, especially out of the Winchester 94 platforms that they were being used out of. So if you get yourself an AK that has, you know, a rail mount on the side to where you can mount a scope, and you get yourself a 7.62 by 39 AK that you know is going to be fairly accurate, you could definitely achieve quite a bit with that rifle. And most people would be able to achieve the things that they need to achieve with a rifle setup like that. Now, the AK, it can be made fairly lightweight, but it is going to be a little bit on the heavier side. So maybe you could argue that there are going to be some outliers in the most people crowd, where if they are incapable of handling heavier recoil or a heavier rifle, maybe something more like a 22 long rifle would be adequate enough for them, and that's probably a topic that we'll save for another video. So as far as most situations with most people handling most things, whether or not it's hunting or defense or, you know, everything it is that you need a rifle to do, most people would absolutely be able to get away with 7.62 by 39, especially because most people aren't going to be more accurate than the cartridge or the platform that the cartridge is being fired from, and most people won't be touching out to the distances that 7.62 by 39 would be limited to. So speaking of distance, we're at 40 yards. I'm just going to shoot my car over there. Oh boy, this is a nice rifle. I'm going to go for the steel silhouette, which is somewhere in that pile of bushes. Okay, I think I hit it over there. Well, I'm still going to have people who go into the comments and disagree with me, but go into the comments and disagree with me then. Thanks for watching, folks. Appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day, and I reckon I'll see y'all on the next video. Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garen. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.